So here we are at January 14th, 2021. The last time I worked on this loon was in July of 2017, and I was taken away for a commission, and I kept getting commissions, and I've finished those commissions up now, and I'm going to complete the oil painting of this somewhat decorative smoothie. It's have all the feathers carved into it, but no texturing. So it's kind of smooth and not smooth, more than usual. So I started with Japan paints for the base coats, and during the time that this bird sat around, it took a little bit of a ding here on the bill, so I sanded that off, and I'm just going to paint right over that. You won't notice that there was a little ding anymore because it's gone. These are the paints that I'm using. I use an ivory black Gamblin Fast Matte Titanium White Fast Matte by Gamblin. These are my old paints, oil paints. They're Grumbacher's Finest. I have Cobalt Violet, Cadmium Yellow, Medium, Phthalo Green, Cobalt Blue, Burnt Umber. And the first thing I'm going to do is mix up some black or dark brown using my burnt umber and my cobalt blue. So I want to mention the medium that I'm using is Grumbacher turpentine in the bottle. When it's clear, no yellow tint should be on it, or it is not good, it's tainted. And then Grumbacher turpentine, Grumbacher oil painting medium number 1, which gives you a matte finish on smooth birds and textured. So when I start out painting in oils, so that I don't dissolve the coats below, Grumbacher matte medium will dissolve the layers of paint below. So you can only really paint it full out 100% during the first pass. But since I already put base coats on, I'm going to go 50-50, which will cut its strength, and it won't dissolve the layers of paint below, or at least that's the plan. So I'm going 50-50 here, and I only use a little bit at a time because it is so expensive. This bottle alone costs $10. This bottle was just over 15. So you want to use it sparingly and not put too much in, more than you're going to use in the sitting that you have, because it'll just evaporate or have to be thrown away. One of the ways you can avoid is, if you need to take a break, is to put a cover over your medium while you're taking a break. But by the end of the day, I usually wipe it all out, clean things up, because if it just sits overnight, it tends to get tends to turn to different medium and turn color, and I don't want to deal with that. So I try to only use the amount of medium and turpentine for a sitting. Now, I've recently finished painting something, but usually I have to use a plier. Keep one handy to get keep it in my paint box. But I just recently painted a blue goose head study, and I needed this color, and so these are actually easy to get into this time around. So I'm using cobalt blue, deep, and burnt umber. The combination of the two produces a really nice dark brown. I'm trying to keep things into a nice pile. Don't want to waste too much paint. But when you're done mixing, wipe your palette knife off so it's ready for the next time around. It might cost a little bit more paper towel or a little more trouble, but it's worth it to have your stuff ready when you want it. So I'm just going to put a nice coat over this sanded area. It'll probably take a couple of passes to get that covered up. And again, when I finish painting a color, I wipe the paint out of my brush before I stick it into the medium to clean it up a little bit. And I always remember this is what I was using for the dark brown. Set it aside knowing it's been used. These have all been cleaned. They're the same brushes I used when I painted the goose head. So where I'm at here is just a basic base coat. Colors, I did some shading on the outer edge of the feathers with a darker brown than what I actually started with. That gives me a little bit of difference in color. So basically what I'm going to do is come back today and I am going to start laying in the white spots. It's going to take several passes to get the nice color in there. Solid white. Can't do it all in one. And when I'm using this fast matte, it dries faster than regular oil. So I don't squeeze out as much as I would if this is regular titanium white oil. And I think I'm going to use a this is a Raphael 2/0. That means it's 2 steps below the size 0. And just like with acrylics, I like to use a consistency of half and half or cream. And I'm just going to start laying in the scapular feathers. Move some of these brush. You don't want to have too much paint on your brush. Just be careful about laying it in. Of course, the spots are smaller, the smaller the feather. And paying attention to how these feathers were carved tells me, you know, the small spot on the left side of the feather is going to be covered by the feather next to it. We don't have completely uniform spots. That doesn't look as natural. It gets easier as you go get the larger feathers. And I tend to start on the topmost feather and move my way down. And the reason you want to use nice thin layers like this is because when you come back the next time around, give a second pass, you won't do it exactly the same. It'll be close, but it won't be exactly the same as the first pass. And the third pass won't be as... Let's see now. Just going over that a second time brightened it up a lot. Which is what's going to happen with my subsequent coats on the spots. Sometimes the first pass is kind of like roughing it in, and then each pass after that kind of cleans things up. Tampernay carved me a loon in flight as a gift, and he couldn't believe I like carving loons and painting loons as much as I do, because they have so many spots. He said he almost went nuts painting them, and he'd never ever carve or paint another loon again. So I feel pretty honored to have the one he did carve. Being it was carved for me makes it even more special. I've noticed that the shape and size of the spots on the loon scapular feathers can really vary. We can zoom in a little on this. Me keeping it in camera view, I have my phone here so I can remotely work my camera. Sometimes I'm disappointed because I finish a sitting or with the camera only to find out that it wasn't in focus, or the lighting wasn't right, or something wasn't good, and there's no going back. I already did that step. So sometimes it can be hit or miss when it comes to video. But I'm trying to get this for you. Those who want to learn some techniques in painting in oils, painting loons, doing decorative smoothies. I'm liking the absorption of the Japan paint that I used as the base coat. It's really messy to work with though, I have to say that. The jars have to pop off the tops and it's not easy. And you want to make sure that the size of the spots within the row are pretty uniform across that row. You don't want to do a little tiny small spot when all the others are. Oh, I might do one that's barely showing, like right here. Just catch on a little bit of the feather. And when I go back for more paint, when you use the Raphael, this is a really springy point, and I roll the excessive paint off as I lift off of the palette, which is a glass pie plate, and that takes off the excess paint for usually. There we go. I don't want it to be really dark white, or bright white I should say, yet, because I do want to come back with more passes. Now if I was doing a production piece, maybe I would want the speed of one stop spots, but it's not what I'm doing here. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just not the plan for this loon. And this loon is going to Wayne, who owns River City Creative Mirror and Glass, so he can bring it up to his cabin. He doesn't know he's getting it. It's a thank you for employing my mother for 30 years. And during the last 2 years of her employment, she couldn't drive anymore. And they came and got her every morning and dropped her off after work every day that she worked, 3 days a week, sometimes 4. And she couldn't have worked, she couldn't have stayed independent for as long as she did if they had not been so generous. Christian-based company with just really, really wonderful employees and owners. So, knowing how much Wayne loves loons, I thought it would be appropriate for him to have my 20-year loon. I call it the 20-year loon again because it's actually a 25-year loon now. I'm going to take a little bit of white and extend it too far off, or too far down. Anyway, I used to carve this at World, started carving it at World when I demonstrated for Finks Co. And demonstrated their bits and their tools, and I carved on it for 3 years, or 3 days each year, and put it away till next World show. And I'd pull it back out and pick up where I left off, and I did that over about 10-year period at the World Championships. And then Fink stopped coming, and I put it away. And then I pulled it back out in 2017, and I was going to finish it off as a demo and painting a smoothie in oils. And got interrupted with the commission. Sometimes you got to make money. So, having been all caught up, I pulled this back out and I thought it would be a great video demo. To show you how I actually paint the feathers of a loon on Loon. Adjusting the size across the row, a little bit of the shape. A lot of times I'll do something, paint something on, and then I'll sit back and squint my eyes just to see, how does it look? And squinting can make it easier to see what it might look like when you're done by eliminating some of the detail. It looks like you're viewing it from a distance. Judges who are judging decoys and don't have that full 20 feet to judge at a distance for, I don't know, maybe the venue's too small or other circumstances keeping them from viewing it from the distance that they're supposed to. So if you squint your eyes, you can replicate distance. And viewing many things. It eliminates detail. It shows, even if you're looking at the live bird, squinting eliminates the feather detail to the point where you can start seeing the feather groups, the individual groups, because the individual feathers are a distraction. Just a little trick that can be used. You also try to only go as far as I have time to sit down for, halfway. I've got quite a bit of time today, so I'll do this whole scapular group and then I'll do the opposite scapular group.